The secret word is Salamu Alaikum. That's our way of.
What I'm saying is that we talk about the African countries that were Muslim countries.
Yeah.
How was that? How was Islam spread to those parts of the continent?
To those parts?
Yeah.
It's, okay, so here's the thing, right? At the time of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, you had the Africans that were inside the army, that were the highest rank. For example, we had Bilal ibn Rabah, which was one of the closest companions to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. He was an African, right? You had Africans that were placed as governors. For example, you know Mecca, which is the holiest place for us in the world. The ruler of Mecca, even before these countries in Africa became Muslim countries, when the Mufti, like the Islamic ruler, the one who was the judge, the one who was passing all the rulings, he was an African. You see what I'm saying? His name was Ata ibn Abi Rabah, right? So it's something that in Islam it had all cultures anyway. So when these cultures, like you had Persians that became Muslim, you had Romans, and then it was obviously mostly Arabs, but you had Africans, you had Abyssinians, you had all sorts of people. And then after the Prophet Muhammad peace upon him died, then they spread out. So over a period of time, they went over to Persia, they went over to Rome, they went over to North Africa, and then they went into the rest of Africa, they went into East Africa, and that's how Islam was spread. You see what I'm saying?
No, but what I'm saying is, obviously I've done my own personal research for this, innit? I've been seeing accounts where chiefs of African tribes, let's call them, I don't like that word necessarily, but tribes, you see, they were, the Arabs, they had I can't remember which commodity they would sell that was valuable to them.
Yeah.
And then the Africans would go, can we trade? And then the Arabs were like, this is our, it's all like the Romans did, innit? This is our sort of premise for trade. You have to accept Islam. And the chiefs, obviously, they didn't mind, innit? Because that's just like, let's just brainwash a few people and that. So then you got people that have been indoctrinated and whatnot, forced to believe this purely for the sake of money. I'm not saying Islam's been spread entirely for money, but I'm talking about these certain pockets of the world. I know that's a majority, but that's still partly what I'm against. So that's why I have to distance myself from religion.
See, here's the thing from my perspective, is that when you look at the point that you just made, I don't know the specific incident, so I can't deny it, I can't accept it or reject it. I won't deny that there was obviously stupid things that happened, of course, But what I'm saying is, generally speaking, I don't think that an entire continent, right, or at least the majority of a continent, could be converted into a religion based on a few cells. You see what I'm saying? And especially because the majority of our historical accounts, for example, first it was Northern Africa that was taken, and so on and so forth, and then it spread down from the east and the west. I mean, our accounts show that it didn't happen like that. Do you see what I'm saying? And then you have the Africans. You had the Africans like many generations later. For example, you had the King Mansa Musa from Western Africa. Sorry, West Africa, right? Say that again?
He's the richest man in recorded history.
Exactly, you see what I'm saying? You have people like him who are very devout believers. He built every place he stopped. He built some mosque. He built one of the greatest places of Islamic knowledge, which is Timbuktu. You know what I'm saying? You have Ahmed Baba, he was a scholar that they actually had to kidnap him because he was so sick. They were like, come visit us. He was like, no, I'm not gonna come because I'm here with my African people. They had to kidnap him because they wanted to benefit off him, which was obviously wrong. What I'm saying is that you found it was something that became very personal for the African people. But here's the thing, here's the litmus test. I agree that religion shouldn't be taken on the basis of just it being a religion, on the basis of trade or anything like that. But religion should be taken on the basis of it being true or not. You see what I'm saying? It should be taken or rejected on the basis of whether it's true. Now you say you believe in God, and that's nice. But obviously God wants certain things from you. Now let's move the word religion out of the side, because Islam, we don't even believe it's a religion. Like in the Qur'an, Allah says, Inna ad-deena 'inda Allahi al-Islam. The only way of life acceptable to Allah is Islam. Islam is not a religion. We call it a deen. And there's no actual word that it can translate into in English other than a way of life. Do you see what I'm saying? Now it's a way of life that we believe God told. Because obviously God created you, He's going to want certain things off you.
Do you believe in self-ownership?
In what, sorry?
Self-ownership.
Like, explain what you mean by that exactly. Like that we own ourselves?
Yeah.
Like we're not owned by God?
In a sense, because I see it as I take a more philosophical perspective, because that allows me then to sort of argue for God and against God, without necessarily having to sit on top of a religion, because I can't do that because it seems I'm against a religion. I believe that whether or not God made us, I have to be sort of in control of myself, and that's where free will comes in. But more than that, I have to also own myself, and it's down to me to give myself to God. See, that's why I don't necessarily agree with religion, and religion doesn't agree with me, because religion says that God's your owner, your creator and whatnot. I believe that I can offer myself to God, I can lay myself down for God, but the initial ownership has to be with me for me to order to express my free will.
But see, here's what I'm saying, yeah? Who did you create yourself?
Of course I did. I believe.
Okay. So you obviously you believe God created you, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so now here's the thing. When God created you, He created you for a purpose. Okay. But so then there's a very simple question. Who has the right to dictate what you should or should not do? You or God?
In the wider context of things, you can say God is the giver, therefore He can be the taker, and therefore the controller. However, I don't find myself secure in a position where I am not in control of my entire life.
But you're already not in control, G. Because think about it. You didn't control what family you were going to be born into, what social circumstances you were going to be born into, whether you were going to be a guy, what your skin pigmentation was going to be, what your height was going to be. You don't control the, look, even the grades you get in your school depend upon the kind of school you end up into, your social background, you know.
It depends on catchment area.
Everything in our life is based on what other people. I mean, you like, for example, when we talk to some of these girls that walk around dressed like hoes, right? They got their skirt up to here, they got makeup on their face, they got their breasts showing. I'm like, you really think you're in control? You think you're free?
That's peer pressure.
Do you see what I'm saying? Like, you can't leave the house before you put makeup on for an hour.
But can you not afford someone a little bit of control? Whatever control they have, can you not afford them that?
How do you mean, sorry?
Say, I can't dictate what religion, which family I'm born into, the gender and whatnot. But what I can control, if you want to say that I can control, say, walking across the road and coming back, if you're not a fatalist like that, what I can control, is it wrong for me to try and control that, what I am in power of? Or do I have to submit my will even there?
No, but the thing is, right, when we're talking about control, we're talking about control in a wider sense, you see what I'm saying? So, okay, you can, jump up and down if you want. Yeah, you have control over your limbs. You can jump up and down, you can, move, you can do whatever. But your control is within a paradigm that's already been laid out for you. You see what I'm saying? So, your control, it's like, they say evolution, there's random mutation and natural selection. I say it's not as random as you think, because evolution still has to evolve within the bounds of the natural laws. So who set those natural laws in place? Because it has a restricted bound. That's how you get evolution. It's like Richard Dawkins is one of the biggest atheists, who actually comes out and says that if evolution was to start again, we would end up with the exact same carbon-based life forms as we have now, because they only had one direction to go. So I'm saying you've been put into certain circumstances by God, and that highlights the control. So you can do whatever. You can cross the street within that. You can go buy a burger if you want.
Well, I use that as an example because that's sort of like the primary phase.
Okay.
Like just that self-motion, governing your own motion at least. And then from that you can see other things stemming, and then you've got a longer-term goal. But I was just using emotion as just a basic thing, controlling how you move your hand and whatnot.
But the thing is, you have to go back to what your purpose is, isn't it? Like this is what the original question is. That that question, what's the purpose of life? That philosophers have been debating for the last couple millennium, right? Now, this is very simple. Like, for someone who believes in God, and we have concrete, deductive, rational evidence to believe in God, we can't give ourselves a purpose. Because we didn't create ourselves to give a purpose to ourselves. If I make a BlackBerry, I create it for a purpose, then I have the right to give a purpose, But if we were created for a purpose, right, by a creator, then for us to know our purpose, we have to know what the creator is saying to us. Do you follow me?
I understand that. However,
so how would you know the purpose unless the creator spoke to you? Or unless the creator reached out to you?
God has never been in contact with me, and I don't. Certain people will display themselves as having been in contact with God, having been given a certain message.
Yeah.
I won't deny that certain people have in history. In the same time, I won't say that they have and acknowledge it. In a sense, I will be like, okay, maybe it has, maybe it hasn't happened, because I don't have concrete proof to support either notion of whether it's true or false. However, I personally have not been in contact.
Okay, but what if I have concrete proof of a message for you? And by the way, I don't mean this in a Christian sense that I have like Holy Spirit talking to me or nothing like that.
So how do you mean it? How do you propose
that
God?
Okay, look. Now when the prophets used to come down, or whenever people God would come down, this is the narrative in the Qur'an and the Bible and the Torah. Whether you believe it or not, just go with the concept, is that the people, God selects one from amongst the people to deliver a message, right? Now, in order for this person to show that he is speaking on behalf of God, or God has sent him, and that this person should be obeyed and followed in order to worship and obey God, God would give this person certain signs, certain miracles. For example, Moses, his staff turned into a snake. Jesus, he raised the dead from the ground, right? The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, had miracles as well, such as he split the moon, right? And there's actually sightings in China and India where people at 1,430 years ago have recorded that they've seen that the moon split, right? But that's not enough, because that's not concrete evidence. Because I imagine that you see the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, splitting the moon, yeah? You're going to see that and you're going to think, raw, you just split the moon, yeah? And that might be evidence for you. But for me, imagine I'm your son and I'm born 20 years later. Is that evidence for me?
It's word of mouth.
It's word of mouth. Is that, and then what? And maybe I might believe it. Maybe I might. But then, say 100 years down the line, maybe say 10, 20 generations down the line, it's going to be a folk tale. It's going to be fairy tale. You see what I'm saying? But see, God, He made it different with the Prophet Muhammad, peace upon him. Because he's the last messenger, He gave him a miracle that would last. That miracle is the Qur'an. Whereas seeing the moon split, seeing the dead come back to life are visual miracles, right? The Qur'an is an auditory miracle. It's a miracle that when you listen to it, you can see its miraculous nature. I'll explain it to you, right? What a miracle by definition is something that is outside the capacity of human beings or natural world. Yeah? Yeah. It's outside the natural world, yeah? Okay, cool. Something that we can't do in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, that's my definition.
Now, in the Qur'an, in chapter 2, verse 23, God says, rather Allah says, that this Qur'an is a miracle because you cannot create something like it. And if you're in doubt, try and create something like it, but you won't be able to. Why? Because it's a miracle. That's what He's alluding to, yeah?
Could you not just write similar text?
No, because
I'm not like 100% familiar with the Quran.
I'll explain it to you. I'll explain it to you, right? So when He says create just a chapter like it, we can take the smallest chapter in the Quran, which is only 10 words, yeah? And let me show you why you can't create these 10 words. Now, before I do that, speech, what makes speech sick? Like, if you listen to someone and he speaks powerful, what are the two things that makes the speech amazing, that makes speech powerful?
I'll say they would have to be speaking about an emotive subject, something that really...
Right, so something meaningful, right? So there has to be content, like powerful content. And the second thing is the style, the delivery, right? Like, imagine you see Martin Luther King speaking and he's out there and what he's talking about is powerful content, but the style. I remember I was in year 9 in English literacy class and we're analysing his speech, that repetition, I have a dream, repetition, you see what I'm saying? Malcolm X even more powerful, especially, I fully see what you're saying, but like, they're delivering in style, right? And at the same time they're talking about something powerful, okay? Now here's the thing, the Qur'an, it never compromises style and it never compromises the content. One of the two would always have to be compromised to an extent, right? Because when you're, let's take rap for example, or spoken word poetry, you're focusing on the style, and the style is the thing that's key. The style is the main thing that you want to put out there. So obviously when you're rhyming, I don't know, do you write bars?
Sometimes.
Okay. So when you're writing something, sometimes you have to take certain meanings out. You have to compromise certain words because they don't fit in with the verse. Or say you're trying to come up with a metaphor. So sometimes the point you're trying to put across will be compromised.
It's limited by the literary structure and whatnot.
Exactly.
Trying to slow it in. I understand that. But with the question, could you actually give me an example first?
Yeah, let me give you an example first. So then, but I just want you to understand the point first, right? So that's with rap. But now, say I'm delivering a speech, I'm gonna compromise on the delivery a bit because my main concern is the content. So there's always going to be a compromise, right? Now the Quran, it doesn't compromise in terms of speech, nor does it compromise in terms of content, right? Let's talk in terms of delivery. Sorry, it doesn't compromise in terms of delivery or the content. But let me give you the example of delivery so you understand. Now the smallest chapter is 10 words. Now when you write a bar and you put in metaphors, you similes, you use assonance with the rhyme, or you have a internal rhyme scheme pattern, or you have a pun, or all sorts of rhetorical devices you use. Yeah. In say about 10 in 10 words, how many rhetorical devices do you think you could use?
I'm not trying to dead the question or anything, but it is possible that you could have almost an infinite amount, depending on how it is. These things could actually, you could slow it in to a certain extent. Maybe not as far to stretch infinite, but you could have many, depending. You could have double entendre in each word.
Yeah. Okay, but in 10 words.
You could have a double entendre on each word.
So there's 10 words, right? And each word would have a double entendre, which means there'd be 20 devices in 10 words.
If not more. depending on how many entendres there actually are.
But see, here's the thing. You see, if you have a double entendre, yeah, even though it could have two meanings, that's one rhetorical device. I could have a metaphor that could be taken in 10 different ways. Yeah.
With also some imagery as well, like a metaphor could have similes, some assonance, sibilants.
Sure. But what I'm saying is, like, say you take a metaphor or a double entendre, it can have deeper meanings, but it's one device. That's the point. Okay. That in itself is one device. So if every single word in the 10 words had a double entendre, then that would only be one word. That would only be one device per word. So at the end of it, 10 words, you have 10 devices.
Okay, I understand I understand where you're going.
Yeah.
Holding my argument.
Okay. So here's the point, right? Firstly, before I give you my point and drive it home, have you ever heard a bar where there's 10 words and there's 10 rhetorical devices?
Answering that question on the spot would be impossible to me for me to say yes right now. They could well be. I'm not sure, but I'll have to say no right now.
No, okay, good. Yeah, because if there was a rap artist that had taken 10 words and in there put 10 rhetorical devices, you would know about it. Yeah. Okay. Now, would you say Eminem is one of the best lyricists? Or he's up there. He's a good lyricist. He's someone that we can measure, and we can say he's quite sick.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Now, obviously, I'm a vibe with you because I feel like you're on my level now, yeah. Or rather, I'm on your level, because you know what I'm saying. But now, obviously, when rap started initially, when you had the likes of Run DMC, it was focused with the end rhyme. Right, the rhyming pattern, the rhyming scheme.
They had a singular rhyme at the end.
You start singing the rhyme at the end.
Monosyllabic rhyme at the end.
Exactly. But then rap began to evolve, and now you started to have the internal rhyme. Right? Now, have you heard "Lose Yourself" by Eminem?
Of course,
right?
From the email, yeah.
Palms are sweaty, knees weak, arms are heavy. He's vomit on the sweater already. Mom's forgetting, he's nervous, but on the surface he's calm and ready to drop bombs. But he keeps on forgetting what he wrote down, etc. When you listen to the whole verse, yeah. There is only one vowel sound that he doesn't rhyme with another vowel sound. He literally rhymes the entire song with something else. Yeah. That is one of the most efficient uses of internal rhyme in the entire music industry. You could just go there, go look at the lyrics and just observe it, right? Now, with that said, let's for example take his top 10 words. You could apply this to any rap artist. But let's just take his first 10 words, right? His palms are sweaty.
Are we looking at pentameter? Iambic pentameter?
No, we're not looking at iambic pentameter. Just purely just looking at the way he used internal rhyme. But even that is known as lyrically one of the best uses of words. Yeah. If you look at his first 10 words, yeah. How many rhetorical devices do you think are in there?
His palms are sweaty. I can only see just the rhymes.
There's assonance. Assonance, yeah? One that he repeats twice. So there's one rhetorical device that he repeats twice. At max, I found 3 in 10 words, right? If he's sick, let's say he's got 1 per word. The Qur'an, in those 10 words, the smallest chapter, it has 40. 40 rhetorical devices in 10 words.
Is it still like? Would I still be able to understand it in English, or does it have to be an Arabic translation?
You won't. The English translation. For example, if I take a metaphor in English and I translate it in if I say it's raining cats and dogs to my mum, she will look at me like I'm a psycho because it doesn't translate. So the Arabic language it has a much wider range of rhetorical devices. For example, when it comes to emphasis, one of the ways that we emphasize in English is what? Through repetition, through alliteration, right? Through things like that. But in Arabic, you have like a whole variety of different forms of emphasis specific to a certain situation. You have different kinds of wordplay, word arrangement, so on and so forth. You see what I'm saying? So
that you can't find in English.
Not. Well, that's one of the reasons why Arabic is a richer language than English, because you can't find them in English. But not even that. Once you translate them, the English language doesn't have a substitute for them. Do you see what I'm saying? So it won't carry. But if you look into you got English, you got Western and Muslim, Arab, non-Arab, scholars of the Arabic language, such as Neil Robinson from the University of Nottingham, I believe, so on and so forth, that have basically studied the Qur'an, and they come to the same conclusion, Devin J. Stewart, that the Qur'an is in a form that is unlike anything else because of its frequent use of rhetorical devices. At the same time, it doesn't lose the meaning. So all a human being has to do to disprove the Qur'an as a miracle. Not all, but what a human being can try and do to disprove the Qur'an is come with 10 words that have 40 rhetorical devices. At the same time, the meaning has not been compromised. Now, we're talking about some of the greatest. I'm not even talking about the content. Let's just take the delivery side. Let's just take the style. You have some of the most efficient people who use style in the English language are MCs, people who write rhymes. Yeah, you could take Shakespeare, you could take Mark Twain, you could take whoever you want. Yeah, regardless, nowhere you're gonna find anyone coming even close to putting 40 rhetorical devices in 10 words. That's because a human being can't do it.
I don't know. I feel like my Arabic knowledge is so limited that I don't have a leg to stand on in this particular discussion. I would have to look at some Arabic poetry. Really true. I only know about English poetry, people like Byron and whatnot. I don't know any Arab poets, but it's something that I need to learn more about to really truly understand what you're making. I'll keep the 10 words in mind, of course, and the smallest chapter in the Quran. But right now, I don't feel like I have enough.
But here's the thing. I fully understand your footing. Yeah. Even me, I'm a student of the language. But let's be real. You're not gonna go and study Arabic, are you? Maybe, but let's see. It's not on your top list of things to do, is it?
No, I'm probably do African studies first.
Okay, exactly. You see what I'm saying? But here's the thing. Do you need to study the Arabic language to know that there are 40 rhetorical devices in these 10 words?
As it stands right now, as much as I don't stand against what you just said, it is really word of mouth. And for me to really understand it, because I don't want a superficial understanding, I want a real understanding in order to appreciate the miraculous side of it. This is how it got introduced into the topic. Then I would actually have to really understand. Maybe not the whole Arabic language, but definitely everything pertinent to this particular 10 words. Yeah.
How do you know that?
See, that's my whole thing. I argued that to my friends. They looked at me and said, I was like, really and truly, I mean, we're all gathered here on my birthday, but I can't stand here before you. I tell you truthfully, this is my birthday. It could be. I understand the argument completely. I use it all the time. But.
Right. So it's something that you know based on just what someone told you, isn't it? But see, authentic testimony has a science of verifying. Testimony has a science of verifying if something is authentic. There's 2 stages. The first stage is that if you have people from various backgrounds saying the exact same thing, so there's various sources saying the exact same thing, then you can assume that it's authentic. So if your mom is telling you, your dad's telling you, your aunties and uncles are telling you, the doctor was like, I was in the delivery room, etc., etc. The date on the birth certificate at that time, right? Exactly. You have various sources telling you the exact same thing, but it becomes further accentuated when you have people in the chain that have never met each other, that live in different places, speak different languages over a period of time, right?
When I said what you're saying is just word of mouth, I still believe what you're saying, but at the same time, I was just talking about exactly how limited my understanding of these 10 words is to the point where I can't, because we're talking about something much deeper than just a rhetorical device. This is evidence that the text is miraculous, and that there, for me to understand the Quran being a miraculous text and a message from God in a sense, I would have to understand it a little bit further than just rhyming.
But that's what I'm saying. For you to get a deeper understanding, you can most definitely go deeper. But for you to understand it's miraculous right here, you don't need to do that. That's what I'm trying to say. Because we have scholars of the Arabic language and linguists that have never met each other, that speak different languages from different parts of the world over a stretch of 1,430 years, that have conformed to the fact that this is true. You see what I'm saying? So they can't all be lying. That's my point. You see what I'm saying? Okay, so for us to assume they're lying is basically saying it's a mass conspiracy. It's like me saying that World War II never really happened, even though so many people from different parts of the world are saying no, I fought in World War II, I was there. Like we had a soldier, you have the soldier there. My brother was chatting to you. I don't think he fought in World War II, but let's assume he did. And you have soldiers walking around. You see what I'm saying? Yeah.
Within the context of all these people supporting the Quran as a miraculous text, it could just be the case that they're wrong.
But see, here's the thing. For you to claim that they're wrong would be to claim a mass conspiracy.
No.
Because when you have so many people, we're talking about hundreds and thousands of people from different parts of the world that speak different languages, that have never met each other, that come with the exact same thing. You know, you would have to presume there was a time machine where, you know, the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, traveled in a time machine to every era, and he met every single Arabic scholar, and he was able to basically, you know, come up with this plan that we will all say that it's a miracle. And that's preposterous to presume that. You know,
I'm not presuming that. I'm saying that it could well be the case that a group of people could come to the wrong conclusion,
Yeah.
not with the intention of misleading or with any dishonesty lying behind that, but rather just being wrong. There have been many cases in history, like people believing that the world was certain shapes and whatnot. That was passed down. These people thought they were absolutely right. They had faith in what they're saying. They weren't trying to sort of mislead.
Okay, I see what you're saying, but see, that would be the case if this was this test about the Qur'an was a subjective test, but it's an objective test. Meaning it's very simple. The Arabic language is preserved. The rules are there. When you open up the 10 words, you read them. You just read. Okay, I found 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all the way down to 40, and you can just identify. The same way, if I read an Eminem verse, I can say, okay, there's an assonance there, there's a simile there, there's a metaphor there. It's just something that we can just break down. Do you follow me?
What do these words mean? Like, even though you can't.
Okay, this 10 words, this specific chapter was revealed to comfort the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And in there, Allah basically says, undoubtedly, without a shadow of a doubt, it is me, and it is only me, the one who has the power, the might to do each and every single thing possible. And what have I done with my power and might? I have given to you something as a result of your obedience to me, and this is not something that you expected, and this is not something that will be taken away from you. And it's happened, it's guaranteed as if it's already happened in the past. And what is it? It is an abundance of every single good thing that you could possibly imagine. And I've given it to you in multitudes, in massive amounts. What I've translated for you, with the benefit of the rhetorical devices, is just the first 3 words. But here's the thing, right? I will make it easy for you because I can see that you're sincere, yeah? And sometimes we talk a bit too abstract. And personally, the belief in God and having a relationship with God, we're supposed to have a lot more of a spirituality, you see what I'm saying? That's why I can see why you want to have a deeper understanding, right? So what I'm going to do, and I'm going to link this on the video here, so those who are watching will be able to see it here. There's a video that I've just put out where I basically go through the rhetorical devices, right? So I show you how in the first 3 words there are 11 rhetorical devices. Do you see what I'm saying? So what I'll do at the end of this, I'll take your number down or your email address and I'll send it to you, right? It's going to be finished tonight and it'll be uploaded in a couple of days, and then you can check it out. You see what I'm saying? And that will make you understand it a lot better.
Yeah, of course, man.
Yeah?
No problem.
Okay, but just so you know, just what we leave you with, right? Now, because we have this about the Qur'an, because we have a boundary, the reason I try to give this intellectual understanding is because we live in a day of skepticism and rationalism. Everyone's trying to be logical, everyone's trying to be rational. So it's like with this we draw a boundary. We draw a line and we say, okay, look, so from here we know about the Qur'an being outside the capacity of human beings. So once you check this video, you'll be able to see that, inshallah, right? Inshallah, so it means with the will of Allah, yeah? Okay. So you'll be able to check that. But then from that, once you have that, then you need to go to this book. Once you can acknowledge this book comes from no one other than the Creator, then you need to ask yourself, what is this book telling me? And the number one thing this book tells you is that you have been created for no other reason except that you may worship and serve your Creator, right? And this is what I was mentioning at the beginning, why I said that we're born enslaved to our economical system, to our social system, to our background. The only way you can truly free yourself from this, because see, I don't come from a good background. I went to the 13th worst school in the country. I come from a background where I should be dead or in jail, possibly, right? But regardless of that, I broke free of all of that. And I'm at a position where I'm 23 years old right now. I'm married. I live my life how I want to live. I go travel to whatever country I want to travel. I do what I want to do. I was able to accomplish this not by my own means, but by enslaving myself to my Creator. Because when you enslave yourself to your Creator, you free yourself from everything else. I don't care what you say. I don't care what my teacher says. I don't care what society tells me. I don't care what economy tells me. I don't care what my social circumstances have to say. I break free of all of that. And what I'm concerned about is what my Creator wants from me. And I'm serving Him. And through serving Him, I liberate myself.